Hi, how you doing? My name is Dale Hughes. I'm a senior group leader in Utility Warehouse. I want to show you how you can sign dramatically more customers. Okay. Now, getting an appointment can be difficult. So it's important that we increase the conversion rate when we do an appointment, because that will also mean that we make way more money. Now, I've done this for 15 years and I've got a sales background. I'm a sales trained, started door to door when I was 18. Then I sold cars for over 20 years. All I have ever done is sales. So, and I appreciate there's a lot of folk in the network who are maybe not sales trained. You're a doctor, you're a taxi driver, you're a primary school teacher, maybe a single mum. So look, the point is there's a skill involved when it comes to selling. And although a utility warehouse partner is not a salesperson, there is completely no harm in having some sales skills up your sleeve to make sure that when you're having those appointments, rather than you maybe setting 10 appointments and only converting 1 in 10 or 2 in 10, if you were to set 10 appointments, if you can convert 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, then you'll make way more money. And that's what I'm going to teach you how to do. Now, I've put some slides together. This training might be, I don't know, I figure this could be a 30-minute training. It just depends how much I ramble, but I promise you this. See if you implement what I'm going to teach you right now, it will dramatically change your business. And really importantly, you need to make sure every single person in your team sees this, because here's the thing, you get paid group royalty income on all of your team's activity. So if you've got a team and they're all going out, but every time, they're having to set 10 appointments to sign one, then that means your royalty income is going to be really low. But if we can get that conversion rate to, if they set 10 appointments, they sign up 5 or 6 or 7, then your royalty income would be much bigger. So it's really important for your income to make sure your team see this training. Now, this training is not something Utility Warehouse have put together, although I am a company trainer. I've been a company trainer for years. I have put this together because of my sales background, and it will really, I promise you, make a dramatic difference to your sign-up ratio. And what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to run through a cashback challenge. I'm going to do one online. I found a picture of the actual cashback form that we used way back from 2010 onwards, and I'm going to role play how I would do a cashback challenge to let you see why it's so important you do that before you even start talking about figures with the customer, especially in a market where it's competitive. And there's nothing wrong with competition. Competition is good. At the end of the day, we're all bill payers as well. We want the best prices. But if we've got our teams not using the cashback challenge in this market, then all we're doing is setting them up for failure. So I'm going to run through that with you right now. Okay, so we'll all know this screen. This is the screen you log into. The website to get to this site, the screen is www.uw.co.uk/join. It's our login screen. But what a lot of people probably haven't noticed is when we get onto this login screen, rather than logging in, if you go to the very bottom right of the screen, there's a button that says Cashback Challenge. So the first thing I'm doing on a remote appointment is I send the customer to uw.co.uk/join. Traditionally, in a remote appointment, we send them to share so that they can type their code in. But first, send them to join. Send them to this page, send them to the same page you're going to use. And rather than you logging in and they logging in, just you both go to this page, tell the customer to scroll down and press Cashback Challenge. Now you do the same thing. You go to that page, you scroll down and you do Cashback Challenge. I'm doing my appointments on WhatsApp. Voice calls, no video, just voice. I'm finding that's quite an easy way of doing it. That way I can sit in bed and do it, just comfy, not under the covers. I can sit in bed and do it, or I can just be sitting somewhere with an earbud in. So you don't need the video. The prospect seems much more comfortable because that way they don't have to get all done up and get in front of a video. It's just easier. WhatsApp voice, earbud in my ear, customer goes here, I go here. And then all I say to the customer is, look, John, before we get started, and we actually, start talking numbers, what we need to do is figure out how much money you're currently missing out on every month on the money that you already spend. Because we're not just a utility brand, we're an actual discount club. We save you money on your shopping, we save you money on your boring utilities. So let's first of all look at how much you're currently missing out on. You notice that language? much are you missing out on? Nobody likes to miss out on discounts. This is free money they're missing out on. So first thing, John, can I just ask how much you think you spend a month on groceries? Oh, you have a bit of a blether. Maybe talk to his partner who's on the phone as well. All right, they spend £600 a month on groceries. So John, on your side, on your screen, can you type in £600? I type it in my side because I want to see what the number is as well. What do you spend on petrol and diesel? Now, just what you spend. If you've got a company fuel card, don't include that. I only want to know what your house spends petrol, diesel. 2 cars, probably £300 a month. Cool, £300. John, clothes and shoes. How much do you think you spend in a month on that? Now, I granted, John, there's probably some months you spend nothing. But if you can if you don't think you spend money in clothes and shoes every month, let's look at it over the year. How much are you spending keeping yourself in your designer gear? How much are you spending on the kids? How much do you think your wife spends, every weekend buying stuff? The wives definitely love shopping. My wife does. And it's about making it fluent, making it jokey, keeping it conversational, so that you're always prompting them to think about just how much they're spending. So he might be like, well, probably over the year I'm about £1,000. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to average it a month? And it's always his figures. So if he goes, probably £80, cool, 80 quid. Health and beauty, John. So that's maybe more your specialist things, like what you spending on your nice posh makeup. Oh, sorry, not you. Maybe John. Maybe John is. What you spending on your posh makeups when you go to Fraser's and you buy your Clarin stuff, or you're doing all your beauty treatments. What do you think you spend a month on that? Oh, probably massages. Probably spending about 100 quid. Cool. Household and electrical goods. And again, see if John's not really opening up. I'm like, John, you will be spending this money. You need to just think about how much you are actually spending, but it's just keeping it conversational. So how much do you think you're spending on household and electrical goods? Now, again, that's more an annual thing. So like, what do you think you spend over the years? You could go 9 months spending nothing, and then the freezer in the garage breaks and you have to go and buy a new fridge freezer. Or you do nothing and then the telly breaks, or you're maybe buying a games console at Christmas for one of the... It's about prompting them to think, well, you know what, I suppose, right, Dale, probably, well, I would say £600 a year, so why don't we call it 40? Or you might just say, do you know what, Dale, £50 fine. Cool, 50 quid. DIY and garden. Now, if he's a homeowner, that's going to be quite a lot. If he's a tenant, it's not going to be so much, because tenants maybe don't decorate the property. Some will, but a lot of them won't. Or if it's social housing, maybe the government do the gardening. But if they're a homeowner and they've got a garden, they spend very little over the winter, but then in the summer when they go and they buy their plants and all that kind of stuff, they're spending money. And then, I'm a homeowner. We've just redone our bathroom. And last year we redid the kitchen. So last year we were 20 odd grand for the kitchen, and we've just spent thousands in the bathroom. So some folk in DIY garden, it could be quite big. So again, John, what do you think you spend over the year? Oh God, maybe about £1,200. Right, so should we call that £100? Yeah, John, fine. Restaurants and hotels, what do you do when you're treating the missus, going out for a bite to eat, maybe a wee sneaky weekend away? Again, I'm prompting him to think about what he's spending his money on. Probably £100 a month's about right. We like to go out for dinner at least once a month. And we all know, God, a meal for two at a decent restaurant with drinks is 100 quid easily. John, this is when it gets a bit bigger. What do you think you spend over the year when it comes to holidays and trips away? And that's going to be thousands. So again, you might be like, well, last year we spent £3,000, so we'll call that 250. And every time he's typing it in on his end of the screen, and I'm typing it in my end, because it's important I see what the number is in the box at the top right. Right, John, last one, and this is the one that nobody thinks about. How much do you think you spend over the year when it comes to gifts for family and friends? And what I mean is, there's always things we have to spend money on that we don't budget for. Wedding presents, baptisms, christenings, it's somebody's birthday. We're always invited to parties. You put money, buy a gift somewhere, and then it's just your own close family. How much you spend at Christmas, how much you spend on your close family birthdays, and this is where folks sit and go, wow, God, last Christmas I must have spent about £2,000 just between the kids and my partner. And then there was obviously buying extended family. And again, it's their numbers. So here again, you might go, do you know what? We're probably averaging about £300 a month. Cool. So John's done that. And I said, John, all I ask you to do is go back up to the top. Right, John. So see that purple box? All it's telling us is our utility warehouse cashback card gets you between 1% and as much as 10% cashback on everything that you spend. Every single shop is a partner because it's partnered with MasterCard. So even if it's a shop that's a really low rate, we're looking at 1%. So because we've done it via MasterCard to make sure that we can get you these discounts and cashback, no matter how often you tap your phone, because you can load the card onto the app, so you can do it through your Apple Pay, or you're just going for a Starbucks, tap your phone, boom, you've maybe picked up 5p, 10p, whatever it is. But John, see all these transactions, because we now live in a digital world. If you look after the pennies, the pounds look after themselves. This system's telling us that we're looking between 120, which is your 1%, and as much as £900. Now, let's just try and be sensible. So let's pick somewhere in the middle. So that's telling me you're going to be like £450 odd cash back as a UK average. So for 450-ish, or you might say, take the 912 and divide it by 2. 912 divided by 2, 456. So 456, divide that by 12. So John, we're actually saying this cashback challenge is suggesting there's £38 every single month that you're missing out on because you're not using utility warehouse for your services. You don't have a cashback card, so we're not able to put that £38 credit onto your tariff. So what I do then is, in my end, I'm writing down max 900, 912, average 456, monthly 38. John, does that all make sense? God, that makes sense now. And I'm getting him to remember those numbers. Or John, do you want me to write that number down your side? £38 a month average. Great. Okay, John, so what we'll do now is we'll close that down. And all I want to do now is, if I could just ask you to go to a slightly different website on your browser. So instead of going to uw.co.uk/join, can you just change the /join to /share? And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to log in my side as normal. He's now at share, so he's now looking at the screen that's saying enter a code to begin. Fully remote. It's not a referral. Start appointment. I'm going to give him the code IM6GR. He types it in his side. Now we screen connect. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to present the features and benefits of UW, because I've now done a cashback challenge. But do you know what I'm now doing there? In a competitive market, what I have now done is I've given myself a £38 a month lifeline. So that if I get to the end of the presentation and the figures are similar, or he's maybe only saving £10 a month. I mean, I did a supported appointment the other night, and we were only £15 a month cheaper. But I was able to say to the customer, so that's great, we're saving you £15 a month, so we're saving you 15 quid, 15 times 12. So there's £180 savings, which isn't good. You know, if you saw a £100 note floating along the street in the wind and there's nobody around, would you just leave it, or would you go and pick it up? Oh, I'd go and pick it up. Right, so £100 important to you? Yeah, of course it's important to me. Right, we're looking at £180 in savings, and that's not including the cashback. What was the cashback figure again, John? Oh, and this customer was £35 when we done the cashback challenge. So £15 plus the £35 for the cashback. So we're actually saying to the customer, look, the savings on the services is 15, the savings on on your spending is 30. So we're actually looking at, sorry, it was 35. We're actually looking at £50 a month savings in total. When you look at the service savings and the cashback savings, John, that's £600 a year. Can I just ask, do you want that £600 in your pocket, or are you quite happy leaving it to go to the big companies that you're currently using because you're not maybe being a little bit smarter with how you run things? Let him talk. That is how I would do an online cashback challenge. Before then, doing my screen connection, then present as normal, and then go to the number. Right, now the last bit I want to run through with you is the best way to ensure that you sign up a multi-service customer, okay? Again, there's a way to ensure the customer sees the benefit in taking 3 services and therefore gets a better deal overall, a much better value bundle. And it's called the meal deal. This is really important because, like I say, you'll get a lot of people who maybe don't, you get to the end of the presentation, you maybe get them for energy, they maybe take broadband, they're in contracts for their mobiles, so they don't need SIM cards, or they don't want boiler cover, or they've just renewed the home insurance, and you're kind of like, oh, right, okay, so it's 2 services. But that means they don't get on the cheapest fix. It means they don't get the extra £100. It means they don't get access to the £400 that you need to pay off termination fees. So there's a huge amount of benefit on that customer taking a 3rd service. And that's where the meal deal thing comes in. Okay. So here's how I would explain it. You are my guest. We've got to the end. Because at the start, when we do the start, and we're on the screen, there's the 4 services. The first thing I'll do is I'll say, look, yeah, I know you're telling me you just want an energy only quote. Look, my job is to dazzle you with the bundle. And then at the end, if you don't want the services, we can easily take them back out the checkout. So that way I get to continue presenting, explain the whole benefits, because we're a multi-service provider. We're about simplifying our life, getting everything in one bill, one direct debit, one username, password, one UK call centre, all in one bill, so much easier moving forward, one app to view everything. That is worth its weight in gold, all that stuff just there. But again, customer, leave everything in, we'll get to the end, and at the end they go, right, take the SIM off, take the mobile off, take this off, take that off, and they maybe want energy only, or they want energy and broadband, which is quite very common. You'll normally get broadband and energy because, we're very, very competitive in those things anyway, and the cashback that I've just explained makes that a no-brainer. But maybe they don't take that 3rd service. So I would just be saying to you, look, what we're best to do here is if we can find a home for that SIM card. Now, whether that's you maybe need a 2nd business line or one of the kids could make use of it, there's a real benefit to you in having that extra service. And let me explain it to you like this, Mr. Customer. I'm sure when you go shopping, just say you were going in for some lunch, you're running into Tesco, you want some sandwiches, you want a drink because it's lunchtime, you don't have a lot of time, boom. So you go in and you look, sandwiches or the Holstein duck with no mayo is £3. Your 500 milliliter bottle of, Pepsi Max is £2. So you're about to spend £5 and get 2 items. And then you see that there's a meal deal, but to qualify for the meal deal, you need to take a snack. You need to take a packet of crisps, even though you don't want them. But by taking those packet of crisps that you don't want, it now means you get the whole meal deal for £4. So you're getting 3 items for £4 rather than having only 2 items and paying 5. So it's actually better value to take the meal deal than it is just to take the items singularly. And again, that also applies in McDonald's. If you went to McDonald's, I personally don't really eat the chips. I definitely don't eat the chips if it's KFC. They're rank. But I order a meal because I'm better off just ordering the meal. It's quicker, it's easier, it's simpler, it's better value. And everyone understands that. So you're saying to me that you don't want the SIM card because you're in contact your mobile, and I'm like, look, okay, if we were to find a use for that SIM card, John, here's what it's going to do for you. See that fixed energy tariff? We can now get you onto a cheaper fixed energy tariff. We'll now qualify for that additional £100 on your 2nd bill. And now we'll also get access to that £400 to help pay off any termination fees, because they might have an exit fee in their energy tariff if they're already on a fix, and they're more than likely going to have a termination fee on their broadband. So we really need that £400 cushion to help the customer swap to us so as they get all the benefits. So by you taking that extra £100, we can get you all these extra benefits. I know, but I'm now paying £13 for a SIM card I don't need. Well, actually, here's what you're really doing. I mean, the SIM card is £13, but if we give you £100, so £13 times 12 is £156. But we're getting £100 credit on the 2nd bill. So that means your £156 for that SIM card is now £56. So £56 divided by 12 means the SIM card's now only costing us £4.66. And it's given us the £400 to help you swap. And we're now going to get you a much better value fixed rate, which is saving you money on your energy and protecting you from the price increases, because we wanted to do that. And now that customer's going to be like, all right, I see what you mean. Because the customer's not going to think like that. They're not going to go, oh, I'll take that because it qualifies for this and it gets me that and that. They won't know that. We are the professionals. We're meant to explain to the customer how they can essentially manipulate join the club to get more value for a better overall price. And when we're presenting the final figure, we should only ever be presenting the overall price. We shouldn't be starting going, right, so your broadband price is this versus this broadband price, your energy price is this versus this energy price, your SIM is this versus this, because all you're doing is you're inviting them to say, oh, but my SIM gift gaff was only £8 and your SIM's 13, or my broadband's 27 with Sky and yours is 29. We should be saying, right, your overall price is £250. How much is your overall price currently? Well, my overall price at the moment is £240. And you're £250. Yep. But how much was the cash back? Oh, well, it was 35. Oh, right. Okay. So when you take my £250 with the cash back, I'm £215. And what if you use that cash back more? And what if you use the cash back abroad? All your foreign transaction fees are refunded onto next month's bill. So can you see some real value in not only having everything in one bill, one direct debit, one username and password, one UK call centre, the simplicity of one app, manage everything on your phone. We're actually going to be better value, and that's if you're an average customer. Moving forward in life, there'll be times where you need to make big purchases, and when you make those big purchases, that cashback card is going to reward you big. So now the customer's thinking, wow, right, so it's the long-term savings, and with the cashback I'm saving money, and if I take that extra SIM card, yeah, I suppose, because the kids, I could probably give one of the, give them an extra SIM, or I could use that as an extra line, because, I do my wee thing on the side. Rather than have my main number on that, I could just use it as a side number. It's about getting them to find another reason to use it, to manipulate join the club, get a better value bundle on it. So that's what you also need to make sure you do, the meal deal bundle. Now, we all do it. We all do it. We go to Tesco, Sainsbury's, Morrison's. We would always pick that extra item up to get the better overall price. We all do it in fast food stores. Do it when you're doing your UWB sign up. So in closing off, please make sure that anyone you bring into the business sees this, because they're not going to know to do these things. Okay, what they're going to do is they're going to go out, hopefully use the slides and present, maybe not have a hugely significant saving because it's a competitive market, get lots of people telling them they're going to think about it. And if we don't get our new partners a paycheck in month one, we will lose them. Now, it's really easy to massively increase conversion rates by having the skills of using the cashback challenge, then presenting the slides, then using join the club to build up a quote, and then using your meal deal analogy to ensure that the customer sees the benefits in being bundled to 3 services. And that gets the customer the best overall value, gives them the money they need to ensure we can pay off termination fees, gets them that extra £100 on their second bill, it gets them the cheapest fix, and you, instead of earning £100 for having gathered a 2 service customer, they're earning £250 for getting a 3 service customer, which could well upgrade itself to a 4 service, because after sign up, the customer's going to get sent information about the boiler cover, and they might opt into the boiler cover themselves anyway. So therefore, they become a 4 service customer, which has happened to me twice in the last couple of weeks. Signed it up as 3 and it became 4. I didn't have anything to do with it. That makes it £300 commission. So please do what's right. Make sure you're giving your team the armor and the tools they need to maximize their income. Because if you look after your team, they'll grow faster. It builds your royalty income. And also, just the last bit, see the cashback card, it retains your customer. Because at the end of 18 months, they're going to get a price increase on their broadband, as every supplier does in every company. It's normally an 18-month contract, and then at the end, you fall off the initial discounted price that was, an offer to bring them in, and you default onto the standard pricing. Now, our standard pricing is cheaper than everyone else's standard pricing. But customers, when they see a price increase in their bill, might be tempted to think, oh, my broadband went up, so I'll just go and have a look elsewhere and see if I can get an introductory offer broadband deal at 25 quid. Now, if they pull that broadband off, then that also means their energy tariff that they were on will go up. So not only did they get a letter about the broadband going up, now they get a letter about their energy going up. So all of a sudden, 18 months later, you might start to lose that customer. Now remember, we're paid royalty income every month forever. And here is what I can tell you in 15 years of doing this business. I have lost very few customers. I'd still lose the odd customer, but I lose very few. And do you know why that is? Because they were all onboarded the right way. They were all onboarded using the Cashback challenge. So they're now all Cashback card users. And if they get that price increase from their broadband at the end of 18 months, they have not then thought, oh, I'll move elsewhere, because they're thinking, well, hold on, if I move elsewhere, now I lose all that cash back I'm getting every month when I fuel my car, go shopping, shop online, shop in store. So the cashback card retains your customer for life. It makes them a really, really sticky customer. And if you can get sticky customers, it locks in your royalty for life. And if your team are getting sticky customers, it locks in your group royalty income for life, which means you end up with a massive paycheck that's just compounding and growing and compounding and growing. And all their customers are getting cheaper bills, because even if they do get a wee price increase at the end of 18 months, it's never going to be anywhere as much as the cash back they're generating. So even if the price goes up a little bit, they're not bothered, because the cash back is still so good that they ain't going to leave. And that's how you build a strong, solid utility warehouse business that lasts forever. Rather than you join, you build you get some really good momentum, and 18 months later, you're firefighting, because now every time you might do 10 customers in the month, but because you've lost 10 customers who joined 18 months ago, you're just treading water. Be smart, do it right, build a strong business. That means even when you die, when it passes on to your family, you're passing them on 5-figure royalty incomes for the rest of their path. So look, thanks a lot for listening to training. As I say, I'm going to put this link on YouTube. So please make sure that you arm your team with these additional skills. They're not on the partner portal. They're not taught on the partner portal. But I promise you, they will make a massive difference to your business. I hope it's been of use, and I will maybe speak to you at an event soon. Take it easy.